Thank you to Zillow for sponsoring today's episode. We're breaking down how Game of Thrones has already set all the pieces for its endgame in place. And sorry to be a heartbreaker of chains, you guys, but there are only 8 episodes of Game of Thrones left total between the 2 episodes remaining this season and the 6 in the upcoming super shortened season 8. We literally have less time in Westeros than one of the regular-sized seasons from way back when Weiss and Benioff had hundreds of pages of material to play with. So let that sink in. And that also means that, unless the showrunners are planning to throw in some real out-of-left-field plot developments, the building blocks for the grand finale have started to be put in place. Yes, we've always known that those last episodes would probably lead up to a Dragons versus White Walkers versus Insane Wine-Sipping Despot Battle Royale, but exactly how those 3 elements would slam into each other was always up for debate. Well, debate no longer, because we have a theory as to how it's all going to come to a head, and we're breaking it down right now. So, light spoiler warning ahead. Yes, spoiler warning. Yes, it's gonna be a theory about Game of Thrones again. Ugh. I think it looked like I just shit my pants.
Probably cut that part out.
Or leave it in. It all hinges on the fact that Jon Snow has never seen a zombie movie.
You're right.
Because if Jon Snow had ever seen a zombie movie, he'd know that zombie rule number 1 is never bring a zombie into a populated area. You're begging for a breakout, dude, and that's just what he's planning to do, as we saw this week when he rounded up his little D&D party to head north of the wall and wrangle themselves a white. Now, the plan seems simple enough, or at least as simple as things can get for 7 guys planning to go head-to-head with an undead army of thousands, but it should get considerably more complicated when they get to phase 2 of the plan. Negotiating with Cersei.
You're right.
Sure, Cersei currently seems to be in a good mood, especially now that she's expecting a totally real baby that is in no way an evil lie designed to keep Jaime loyal to her. But if you expect that good mood to last, you ain't been watching Game of Thrones. Cersei's willingness to play nice is obviously just a ploy until she can figure out how to get the upper hand on her enemies, and we're willing to bet that when Jon Snow and company finally present her with that white, she's not going to see it as a dire warning about the unstoppable forces currently marching towards her home. She's going to see it as another potential weapon in her ultimate conquest of the 7 kingdoms. And she's going to do with it what she does with every potential weapon that's presented to her. She's gonna turn it over to Qyburn for study. As we all know, Bill Kai, the science guy, A+ for whoever wrote that line.
You're right.
Is obsessed with resurrection and the undead, and he's definitely going to jump at the chance to study and examine a real-life ice zombie. Unfortunately, a white probably won't be as loyal to the Iron Throne as the Mountain was when Qyburn brought him back from the dead at the end of Season 5. And like we said, what happens when you bring an uncooperative zombie into a populated area? You get an outbreak, and we definitely think that's what's in store for King's Landing. But what happens after that? Well, you may have noticed Daenerys has been counseled this season to not burn cities, which obviously means she's going to eventually burn a city. It's pretty much a destiny she's been outrunning all of her life, what with her daddy being the Mad King and all, and not to mention her messed up vision from the end of Season 2 where she saw the demolished Iron Throne room dusted with what looks like ash and snow. But you know she'll do it if she has a good reason, and we can't think of any better reason to burn a city down than Cersei Lannister being in charge of it. But a pretty good secondary reason to burn down a city is that it's infested with the icy undead. But what do you folks think? Do you see the GOT endgame going in a different direction? Will King's Landing be the place where ice and fire finally meet? And does anyone really believe that Cersei is actually preggers? Let's discuss. And thank you to Zillow for sponsoring today's episode of Nerdist News. With millions of photos of homes for sale and for rent, historical pricing data, and other tools from home buyers, Zillow, find your way home.